we're going to look at details on curved edges, and we're going to see how you can make things protrude out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new Tinkercad page and have a nice clean work plane. So let's begin. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag a cylinder onto my work plane, and there's two ways that you can enlarge the cylinder. So you can either do it manually, like I'm doing right now, just highlighting the number and pressing in the dimensions that I want, or you can drag these little markers, these white boxes that you have here, and you can manipulate the shape that way, so you can change the height and the width. Okay, so the second thing I'm going to do is I want to add different shapes to my cylinder. So this time I'm just going to drag that shape right through, and you'll be able to see it on the other side. It's a little bit too long, so I'm going to move it back. And I'm going to do the same thing here. The next step is I'm going to duplicate that shape, so make sure that it's highlighted, and I'm going to press Control D, and you can see that you get a duplicate of that shape. I'm then going to use the compass to spin my shape around, and you can use the markers here. You can see the circle in here, so you can be fairly accurate with how you position the different pieces, what angle they go at. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the shape and use the arrow key. So I'm going to move this one up a little bit and do the same thing to the bottom one over here. Okay. The next step is then to duplicate the cylinder. So I'm going to highlight the cylinder by clicking on it and press Control D to duplicate. And you can see that as soon as I do that, the shape starts to move. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change the size of it. I want to enlarge that second cylinder. So I'm going to move it up to 70 millimeters. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, perfect. Now you might notice that that circle is not perfectly centered, so you can try to do it manually by highlighting it, but it's not going to give you a perfect center. What you can do is you can highlight both of those shapes, and you can use our align key that we've used before. So I'm going to click on that other let's see if that's worked. Okay, not quite. Okay, let's try this way. Okay, there we go. So both of those shapes are highlighted, and all I did was I used the left mouse click and I highlighted both of those circles. So you can see I did it like that, and they automatically both highlight. So the next thing I'm going to do is use that align key, and I'm going to align those two cylinders. And as you can see, as I move around the different black circles, the keys that you see here, you can see the shape actually move around. So it's still not quite centered. So I'm going to use that middle key in here to get it nice and straight in there. Okay, so the next step is for you to click on that outer cylinder only and turn it into a hole. Okay, and as you can see right now, both of them are highlighted, so what we want is only the outer layer cylinder to be highlighted. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to undo because both of them are still highlighted, and I'm going to only click on that outer cylinder. So there, now you can see there's a transparent cylinder around the solid one. Okay, the next step then is to take another cube, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a base that the shapes are cut out of. So you want to make it large enough so that it covers the whole surface area. So if I turn it up, you can see it's not quite fitting over here on my left hand side, so I'm going to pull it out a little bit more. Okay, there we go. So the next step is I'm going to click on the cylinder that I've made a hole, and I'm going to extend that cylinder, and that's just going to let me see it a little bit better for the next step. And I'm also going to click on the second cube, and I'm going to pull it up so that it covers all of those. Oops, I lifted it. Okay, so you can see I lifted it. I clicked on the arrow here. Instead, I should have clicked on the white box, which turns red as soon as you click on it. Okay, so there we go. All of the shapes are covered. They're inside the box there, hiding. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to select the box as well as the duplicated cylinder. So the easiest way to do that is to press the Shift key and left click. So now you can see they are both highlighted in blue. After I've done that, I'm going to go over to my right and I'm going to group those shapes. Okay, so you can now see inside, you can see the extra shapes that we've added on to that cylinder. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to highlight the box only. Okay, so make sure that it is in fact only the box, and I'm going to make the box a hole. Okay, so you should be able to see inside the shape, and everything should look like this. The final step is to select all of the pieces. So I'm just going to put a big box over top of it. So that's going to select everything, and I'm going to group it all. Okay, and voila. So here you have our first of many shapes. You can see this has a lot of possibilities. You can use different shapes like spheres or cones to protrude from images.